on 24.
The next day.
As you can probably hear, it's raining like fuck here. Lightning and thunder and hailstones and all sorts. So my plan of going out and setting up the car, setting up the boost and the fuel and everything properly on the Volvo, probably ain't happening today, but I've got some else to do. I'm going to fit this. Basically it's a MSD 6AR ignition controller thing. Basically a high output ignition booster, common on V8s but can be used on anything. The reason I'm fitting it to the Volvo is partly because I've got it here and it's brand new and I've got no other use for it, but mostly because without going to coil pack or coil on plug ignition, the standard Dizzy setup on a Volvo, well, Diz isn't ever the best with big boost, and that's what I noticed last night when I was doing a bit of testing, that when I was running quite high boost, like 25 psi or whatever, while it wasn't misfiring as such, when it was going really rich, like too rich, it was very noticeably dropping power, like more than I'm used to on a lot of cars with decent ignitions. And I think probably it's purely because it's a crappy coil ignition, so it's not, you know, creating as good a bang as it could when it's trying to fire through a mega rich mixture. So I'm going to fit this, which I'm pretty sure is fairly simple. Let's give it a go. I haven't even opened this box yet, so I don't even know what it looks like. Well, this is what's in the box. A fancy MSD ignition amp and rev limiter thing. Load of wires, some installation instructions, and some stickers. So better start reading and working out how the fuck to fit it. Right, the MSD 6AR ignition setup is, well, it's installed. It wasn't, well, I'll tell you what, it was and it wasn't a nightmare. On the face of it, it seemed easy. Once you read the instructions, you think, what the fuck are they on about? I know they're catered mostly for V8s and, you know, common applications like that. But what it was saying is really hard to understand and work out, especially things about the ignition, no, the RPM signal and this, that, the other. It was a bit like, it was confusing to say the least, that's all I'll say. And it kind of made you think you might need some extra bits to make it all work properly. But in reality, it was fucking easy. You just needed to know how. It's literally 6 wires, positive and negative to the battery, 2 wires that now go to the coil, and 2 wires that now go to the wiring where the coil, well, that used to go to the coil wiring. What I have done, I don't know if any eagle-eyed people will have noticed, but as standard, the coil sits there, and then the king lead goes there to the distributor. But now, the coil is there. All good, all seem ready to go. Turn the car over, nothing at all. Well, not nothing at all. It turned over, but there was no spark. Checked, you know, you could smell fuel and pull the lead out and put a spark plug on there, and there was just no spark. It's like, what the fuck? What's going wrong? Checked everything, all seemed fine. Read the instructions, all seemed fine. Then I realised the light on the MSD box, which is there, that should come on as soon as the ignition's on, but nothing at all. So it was like, either this is fucked or there's no power going to it. So it's like, well, the power for that is switchable 12 volts, comes from the original coil wiring. But I knew that was correct. Well, I took a photo of it before I dismantled it over there, so I could be sure what was positive and what was negative. Wow, I pull it on that way, but what I didn't realise is it was yet another part of this car 6 months down the fucking line that was causing me a headache because it had been bodged or done wrong or whatever by a previous owner. And while I'd installed it exactly as it had come to me, it turns out the positive and negative on the coil was the wrong way round. On a coil, while it's got positive and negative, it does matter. It will run both ways. It just runs, the coil's more efficient, more powerful if you got it on the right way. And basically, so because it ran okay, I've had no idea it was fucking backwards, and the wires aren't obvious from the colours. So yeah, once I'd found that out, realised that, thanks to Thomas getting the multimeter out and having a check, yeah, fires up perfectly. And it's fucking ace, mine. It still rolls, alright. Yeah, that is close now. Looks badass, though, fair play. It cracks me up when these dickheads are like, oh, look, they've ruined it. So how's that ruined it? It looks mental.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
They're dickheads, aren't they? Fair play. But no, that's cool as fuck.
Better than the 17, isn't it?
Yeah. It just makes the dish and whatever more obvious as well, you know what I mean? What are they now, 10 by 18 all round?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Couldn't get bigger with it on its arse like that.
No chance.
An hour later!
This is the first start and drive with the new MSD CDI ignition setup, and initial thoughts is good because without making any other changes, idle is now pretty much 1 full point leaner, and the reason that would be is because there's now more complete combustion, as in there's a shitload more burning than, you know, coming out the tailpipe as unburnt fuel like they used to be. I wonder if it's going to solve that slightly woolly feeling on boost. We will see in a minute, and hopefully I get some in-car footage, but give me a minute. Right, so that's it for this video, but that was a fucking success in the end. Basically the MSD solved any misfire issues from running too rich, but for a while, and I didn't film it because it was annoying me and there was nothing really to show, because it was more feel than anything else, but it was still this weird woolly feeling. It was making boost, and the AFRs were rich but not stupidly rich. It wasn't misfiring, but it just felt slow and just shit. I don't know how to explain it, but shit. And I was thinking, well, I don't think it's the AFRs, you know, I don't think it's a mixture struggling to burn properly this time. So common sense, experience, whatever you want to call it, told me it was ignition timing being far too retarded. And I was thinking, well, how can that happen? So I had to think and thought, hang on, I know with the standard ECU, it's got like a safety mode, a limpo mode almost. If it senses the knock sensor to have failed, basically if there's no signal from it, then it retards the ignition 10 degrees. So I come back here for about the 4th time because I was checking, you know, checking shit, and basically rewired the knock sensor because the wiring was shit. Basically it had been monkeyed about with and weren't quite right. So I just took it all apart and did it better. I mean, I'm no fucking electronics expert, but I did it, you know, better. And it's fine. That's it. It solved it straight away. And now it's a fucking weapon. Yeah, it's plenty fast enough now to get you in bother. I haven't really looked at the boost. Well, it's running at the compressor outlet 25 psi. But boost at the compressor outlet and boost at the inlet manifold can often be way different. Inlet manifold pressure can be much lower through losses through the intercooler and, you know, this and that. So I want to look what the pressure is on the inlet manifold. My boost controller does show me that, but I didn't have time to look because I was too busy sort of keeping the thing on the road, because at 25 psi at the compressor outlet at least, it's a bit of a fucking weapon. It's still a bit rich, so I'm going to mess about with the chips and this, that, the other, see if I can lean it out a tiny bit. It's not causing a problem like misfires, but I reckon it would make a bit more power without being, you know, unsafe. But it also felt like the £25 was nothing for it. So, you know, maybe I lean it out by just cranking up the boost even more. You know, I think possibly, I mean, going by the compression ratio it is now, there's no reason why it can't run, as long as it's got the fueling for it, 35 psi. More even, I don't know. And I've got spare engines, so to be honest, I don't really care if I wreck this one. I mean, I'd rather not, because it's just effort swapping the engines over, but it's in aid of experimentation and entertainment. You know, I might send the rods to the moon. We'll see what happens, innit? But so far, as you can see, 25 psi, pretty fast. So, great success. Also, as you've seen in this video, there's bits with Kev's Jag. If you want to see more on that thing, like a proper sort of walk around it, a proper talk to him about it, everything, fucking let me know, because he's my mate and he would happily come down and we do an actual sort of feature on the car, you know what I mean, rather than just me and him chatting shit and me filming a couple of things on it. You know, I could do a proper video on that thing if you wanted, but let me know in the comments and whatever, because obviously it's not performance, it's his cruiser, but it's fucking cool, isn't it? So, you know, anyway, see you later.